twice from Constantine in Algeria. So that was the first sort of typical lion specimen that was recorded and put into the sort of the linear system, that the linear system that breaks up species, genus, family, etc., etc., etc. And then very occasionally we see a pride called the Tsalala breakaway pride, or the Mangen pride, and that's a pride of 14, and they just had new cubs, so probably about 16 lions now. But we only see them very, very seldom on Arathusa. Their territory generally lies more to the sort of south and west of us, and those are the female prides we see. The male lions we see, the main male lions we see is a male coalition of two male lions called the Matimba males, and they are dominant over the Nkuhuma pride as well as the Styx pride, or the Styx breakaway pride, as well as there are a few other prides that we don't see that they do also dominate over, further to the north and east of us. And then we have seen from time to time a coalition of five young male lions called the Birmingham boys, and we are hoping that they're going to start spending a bit more time around, but at the moment the majority of the time they are to the north of us in another reserve called the Manyeleti, actually where some of us are living at the moment, and we move through between there every morning and every evening to come do the game drives here at Djuma and Arathusa. But the wonderful thing, Carla, about being in a system like we are, that is open to the Kruger and to the other private reserves, is there are about 3.5 million hectares, and if I remember correctly, maths has never been my strong point, but that's probably roughly around 7 million acres of open, unfenced wilderness. That's including the transfrontier parks with Zimbabwe and with Mozambique, and the animals are free to roam through this massive area of about 3.5 million hectares, roughly, I guess, around 7 million acres. So you never know what might pop up. We might see lions we've never seen before any day. Speaking of lions and updates, just to let you guys know, the breakaway pride who we're talking about now managed to kill an adult male giraffe this morning. One of the rangers from the area was lucky enough to witness that from start to finish, and that happened not actually that far from here, probably only about 2 or 3 kilometers to the south of where we're sitting right now. So it's unlikely we're going to be seeing any movement from the breakaway pride for a while, as they are going to be getting their bellies full of giraffe. Just listening for a second, I think I can actually hear some more elephant off into the bush in front of us here to the south of us. But they seem quite far away. I don't think they're going to make it to here. I think the poor Nkuhumas have had enough of being chased by elephants for one day. Very, very relaxed lions. the most movement we're seeing is the odd ear flick. And the reason for those ear flicks, if we can zoom in on any one of them, if we look carefully, look very carefully around the ears and on the neck, as you'll notice, are there on her face these biting flies, and they are constantly, and you can still see the remnants of cub spots, which we see quite clearly on the little sticks cubs. And so when Junior was a wee cub, not the big fatty that he is now, all those little cubs, those spots, those remnants there, would have helped to disguise them when the mothers left them to go out hunting. So obviously much more visible in younger lions than older lions, and as they get older they do get more faint, but even on adults you can still see the remnants of them. Well, these cats are certainly having a cat nap. Cecilia on Twitter is wondering that even though they seem to be completely passed out, would they still be able to smell or pick up prey if the prey happen to come about? And the answer to that, Cecilia, is most definitely. So they look comatose to us, but they really aren't. They are still listening, and if the prey is in a sort of upwind of them, they will possibly smell it. Depending on what prey they smell will depend on whether they decide to react. I think if a big breeding herd of buffalo happened to trundle past and they caught wind or heard, they'd probably hear them long before they smelt them, would definitely sort of get these guys into action. And I'm hoping that they do start moving quite shortly. They are quite hungry, but they did travel an incredibly long distance, definitely the longest distance that I've seen them travel since I've been here. But unfortunately, we're not always able to follow them. Sometimes they cross into areas where we're not able to. But this was an incredibly long area, and they zigzagged and I'd probably guess 6 or 7 kilometers easily last night, and that's not including the up and downs of hunting. So they might get, I was hoping they'd get moving a bit early. It's really nice and cool. It's a nice wind, be helpful for hunting. But they did do a really big distance last night, so they could stay flat cat for a bit longer. So referring back to the breakaway pride and their giraffe kill, Pretty Nightmare on Twitter is asking, surely we should be protecting the giraffe. She heard that there were only 88,000 left in the wild. I'm not quite sure where you got those figures from, but giraffe as a whole are quite a safe species. They're not on any of the sort of red data lists or anything like that. To give you a much scarier figure, if you heard there 88,000, I'm not 100% sure how accurate that figure is. Maybe you guys can double check that figure for me. I think there should be a few more. left in the wild, but a very scary figure to go along with that is there are probably less than, between 16 and 18,000 lions left in the whole of Africa in the wild. So a lot less lions than giraffe. And yeah, giraffe is of least concern. Lion is starting to get into a position where they are probably threatened at the moment, because they do need large open areas with sufficient genetics to keep the sort of bloodline going, and they do need large prey like giraffe and buffalo and things to eat. So probably lions are in far more trouble than giraffe at the moment. Pretty nightmare. But also we must remember that we are in a wild system. So let's take an example. If we were following these lions and they happened to come across a African wild dog, which is a very rare animal, and one of my favorite, is my favorite animal, not one of, it is my favorite animal, and we happened to be there while the lions killed the wild dog. Now there's an endangered species. It's the second most endangered canid or dog in the world. There's probably only 4,500 left in the whole of Africa, and yet we wouldn't interfere. We would let nature take its course. So in these big open systems like that, when it's animal on animal, we will observe and watch rather than interfere. It's not our place to interfere. We're there to watch. The sunset safari. Martha's question, does the Nkuhuma pride, or this pride we're watching at the moment, have any babies? Not currently at the moment, Martha. They have this young male who's showing you his paw there, and he's probably just over 3 years old. And then they have two sub-adult lionesses who are closing in on 2. So those will be the youngest. So no babies at present. I have heard while they were away from us, one of them was seen mating with a Matimba, but I'm not 100% sure. I cannot confirm that for sure. But hopefully some of them are coming into estrus shortly and will start mating, and hopefully we'll have some babies before the end of the year from the Nkuhuma pride. At cats, we're going to cross off to Scotty, who is with the number 2 apex predator in the Sabi Sands, and we'll be back with you a little later.
Welcome back, everyone, and we just had to change position slightly in order to get into a good spot. The hyena have been moving around, but they are here. Take a look. And Brian's just got to level off the camera. I parked on a bit of a funny angle there. And we were just repositioning. Initially there was one cub at the entrance to one of the burrows, but it moved off. And yes, in terms of them and their hierarchy, but there was a disagreement that was had, and they nipped one another a bit, but like I say, nothing too serious, but something that we haven't been able to share with you in my time here with Wild Earth. And it was between this female that we're looking at now and the other female who's got the newest born cub, probably weeks old. So a very young cub, and the one mother was lying in the entrance to the burrow with her little cub, suckling. And then this individual, this adult that we can see here, came up to the burrow just to kind of investigate, like all the other hyena had been doing. But then the mother of the cub, for some reason, got agitated and let out. And these two started having a go at one another. And it's not something we do very often, but we are actually going to play you back a clip of the scenario that I've just explained to you. Now bear in mind that a lot did happen before this and a lot also did happen afterwards, but it's just one little clip which gives you idea of the action we encountered this morning. So take a look, enjoy. Take a look at the tail of this female. With the tail we couldn't see, but I'm guessing it could well have been between her legs. We encountered this morning. So take a look. And it is a dominance display that they will show when fighting. The victor holding their tail up high, and often the loser holding it between their legs. Now, about to play afterwards. Wow. Cubs that we can see suckling now. But that was certainly the most intense of all the interaction that was seen this morning. They shortly after all dispersed and went their own separate ways. But really, really interesting behavior. And like I say, you may have seen the adult that we can see lying down here, holding her tail up high, possibly showing her dominance over the other female, but again that cannot be guaranteed because we couldn't see what the other female's tail was doing. What will be interesting is to see if any other clan members return to the den tonight. So much is not known about these animals that it's difficult for us to piece together all of the puzzle. And there was another 3 sub-adults also on the scene this morning. So the 2 mothers, 2 smaller cubs, the tiny cub, and 3 others. So a total of 8 hyena in all. And there could have been 1 or 2 of the clan members also missing from the scene. It's interesting also to note how much more relaxed the atmosphere is around the den on the same day, just hours later. And had we have not been here this morning, we wouldn't have known what had happened. And I think that happens quite often, that we are not here and not with the animals that we see, be it the hyena or the leopard or the lion, for the majority of the day. We're only out and drive for 6 hours, and during those 6 hours we're not ever with one animal, or very seldom for that whole 3-hour slot each side. So there's a lot that we don't see, and because we're not seeing everything, it makes it difficult for us to assume exactly the reason behind the excitements at the clan this morning, or at the den between the clan members. But there was certainly some kind of dominance being displayed, and I guess with new hyena being born into the hierarchical system, it does already start having impacts on older hyena who may not have such fortunate lineage and not be born into the alpha female. And it's a very large mound of earth which was initially built by tiny little fungus-growing termites. And hard to believe that tiny little insects can build such a massive and solid structure. Well, anyway, they've moved out and other animals have moved in, and now it's the hyena using these burrows. And it's the second burrow on the right which is kind of obstructed by a bush. That is where we see the smallest cub. The one on the left doesn't seem to be used, but could well be interconnected. And it's that hole on the right where we showed you that clip of those two females fighting a little bit earlier. That's where it all happened. Just 12 hours ago or so. Well, while we wait for these hyenas to move about and get a bit more active and see if any more come back, we're going to Brent for a few moments. It sounds like one of the lionesses is doing some grooming, so enjoy, and hopefully the hyena will be active when you get back.
Welcome back. Just to keep you guys updated about what we're up to, two lionesses have started grooming, but the rest of them, I am hoping this is a precursor to a bit more action than what they have been for the last while. And really, really nice to see this aloe grooming. And it is generally the start, sometimes, or actually a lot of the time, of the rest of the pride getting moving, starting with a bit of grooming, then a bit of stretching, and then defecating and urine. Quite often with lions, they sort of practice what's called contagious behavior. So when one starts or two start, the others sort of follow suit. But we will keep you updated if it does carry on. Hi, Susan. Susan's got a very interesting question that I actually don't know the answer to. Susan's asking whether she thinks is it possible that the females are holding off on their estrus because Junior is around and trying to mate. It is a possibility. I think it's unlikely, but what I will do is I will try email a lion expert and see if they have an answer for that, if there's ever been any record of lions doing that when a young male is about to depart. But thanks very much for that, Susan. I will try to find out a bit more information about that for you. There we go. Or as we call soccer, that you're an expert in, a football expert would like to know whether why the Matimbas are spending more time with the sticks at the moment. So they're no longer with the sticks pride. They were mating with one of the older sticks females. They seem to have finished mating now and have made their way north on a patrol. Home range. So if it's very possible that they might come join up with Nkuhuma sometime in the next couple of weeks or days. And it'll be very interesting to see, and hopefully some of the Nkuhuma females will be coming to estrus quite shortly. Well, you say hopefully, it's a bit of a double-edged sword. The fact that if they are mating, it means that we have a possibility of cubs, which is always great, but also sadly it means I think juniors that grooming that started leads somewhere, We're going to cross back to Scotty and see what he's been up to.
Three cubs, or four cubs now, but the three slightly older cubs, and he or she just poked her head out of the termite mound. And this was the one that we were initially looking at. So things have heated up a little bit. And like most young animals, they do a good job at keeping themselves entertained. Very curious, and I'm surprised it hasn't come up to give Brian. I think I can see a little bit of extra movement. And I'm not sure, maybe I was dreaming, but I think I may have seen the smallest tiny little black cub poke its head out. There it is, look closely. If you blinked you would have missed it, but it may do it again. The tiny little black cub is in there, and it's been poking its head out. I can just see its eyes actually between the legs of the bigger hyena. Look at how cool this is. It's spying on us. Completely at ease with one another. Wouldn't it be wonderful to know exactly how much older the one is than the other? Now, I'm just going to have to tap the car because I want to the point that they start chewing on the tires. So I just gave the vehicle a little tap, and now it's retreated a few meters. You're the little culprit. Oh, it may be coming back for more. Uh-oh. I could only see its little nostrils sniffing through a hole in the door, a little crack in the bottom of my door. And Brian then determined that it would be best if he also gave the vehicle a tap. He could see it, and so create the safest possible environment for us to coexist. It appears like it may just be going up to the next vehicle to see if they aren't more welcoming. There is another vehicle in the sighting with us. No, it's decided against it. They've got incredibly strong senses of smell, hyena. And I'm told that they are so good at smelling that if a carcass or a bone was dragged across any given piece of earth, if these hyena were to come across it as much as 3 days later, they would be able to get onto that scent trail and track it down to wherever it ended up. Obviously, you've got to take any kind of a fact like that with a pinch of salt. If there was a deluge of rain, that would no longer be applicable, but with average weather conditions, that certainly is plausible. Looks like it may have been chewing on a small shard of bone there. And from time to time, the adults will bring back bones and remains of kills for the youngsters to chew on, but it's usually not ready to supplement their diet. The little cub's poking its head out of the hole again inquisitively. It's a pity about these bushes, as the other youngster was nibbling on a branch. And they chew on just about anything they can fit into their jaws, these young hyena. Isn't it so cute? It's very wise at the same time, because if it was too bold and came barreling out of that hole, it would be a very dangerous move for it. Being so small, many carnivores could prey on such a small animal, and it's very good to see it practicing a very cautious kind of behavior now, and he's not coming barreling out with his older cousins. You can probably hear a Cape turtle dove calling in the background. It's just stopped, but I'm just going to keep quiet for a moment or two and let Brian film around. It's such a beautiful evening. The sun has just dipped below the horizon. And let's just listen for moments and watch these hyena go about their business. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little moment of silence, but we're going to stay here for as long as we can in case any other hyenas come. But while we wait, why don't you head on across to Brent and see what those lion are up to.
Welcome back, everyone. It looks like that grooming did pay off and the pride are now on the move. Unfortunately, they are going through some quite thick areas, so watch out. You're going to hear a bit of scratching and stuff, but that's just, it always sounds worse on the microphones. And hopefully we'll be able to stay with them through this incredibly thick area. Right here, I'm not going to be able to go through there, so I'm going to try and find another way. And they should move through to some slightly more open area shortly, hopefully. Here we go. Isn't that wonderful? They actually changed direction again now. They're now heading south towards around the Arathusa airstrip.
Fell over.
I saw that there, rolling. Let's just try so we don't lose them. Stations and guiders are now mobile south onto Magic Willie. They're going to come through. There's this elephant path that's going to come right next to our vehicle here. So moving with purpose. Hopefully they find something to stalk. So we got one. The first lioness going past us now. So it is incredible to be in the middle of a pride of lions like this, the apex African predator. That was wonderful. So they've actually split around the vehicle. And you'll see them joining up again ahead on the road. for once. I apologize, Junior. You weren't the last in the queue.
Back, everyone. And now we know for certain that these burrows are interlinked. Look at this little cub poking its head out. Isn't this just awesome? It can't resist playing with its older cousins. But it is very cautious of them. Understandably. It's tiny. And aren't these some great views we're getting of it, so I'm happy we hung around. It's looking on inquisitively at these other two that are sniffing about and chewing on little bits of bone. And it doesn't know if it wants to come flying out of that burrow or back into it. Isn't this wonderful? Well, Martha, good to have you with us. And Martha would like to know, how old is that tiny little black fur ball? We're guessing probably around 3 weeks at this stage, possibly even somewhere around 4, but I would guess at around 3 weeks. Initially, in all likelihood, her mother would have anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks possibly. Anne on Twitter asks an interesting question. She would like to know if this, and would this be important to the cub? Yes, I think it certainly will know who its siblings are, because it would have noticed its mother's behavior being very different to her own, to that of other clan members' kids, or offspring rather. So I think it certainly will.
Welcome back, guys. You see that dark mass just in front of those lions' ears. As I was concentrating on driving, VM just suddenly said to me, "Buffalo, there we go." You saw the tail flick. Junior and the other two have actually stopped and stayed off to the group of buffalo bulls. From what I can see, I can only see one. So maybe our Nkuhuma luck has changed. So if we look back at her, we can just see the buffalo definitely doesn't know the lions are here. Oh, I think the oxpeckers might have spotted them. Heard an oxpecker had given not too certain alarm call. I'm confident it hasn't seen the lions just from the way it's reacting. We could see its tail still swishing. It wasn't on high alert. There I can still see the tail swishing there. So not on high. Anything apart from, oh, there we go, just the tip of that lion's tail and the black behind the ears. You can see how incredible that sticks out. We saw that buffalo is probably about 5 meters from there. The other 3 lionesses are off to the left, probably trying to flank around the front of the buffalo. There's another lioness to the right, and the rest of the 3 have gone to the left. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Okay, I can still just make out the buffalo with my binoculars. So I'd guess the closest lion to that buffalo is probably now around 12 meters. So not very far at all. The oxpeckers, if we keep quiet, we might be able to hear that low pitch. The buffalo has not moved. He has turned around though, slightly more alert, and that's due to the oxpecker's alarm calling. So far I can only make out one buffalo. Now, they could make a move in the next few seconds. Oh, there's a buffalo chasing the lion. Okay, and now this is where the other lions might come in behind the buffalo. So the buffalo is actually running right next to us. The lions are on right next to it. That was a very half-hearted attempt. So basically what happened there is they almost got nose to nose with the buffalo, and then the buffalo decided that offense was the best form of defense, but some of these, they are still jogging down there. See what's going on. We're just going to stick with one line, so if something does happen, she would lead us to there, but I think they gave up there. There you go. They're all around us now. Okay guys, so that's failed hunt number 7. So we have to, by law of averages, get one of them shortly. One line's still running off after the buffalo, but the rest of them are stationary around us. Oh, I was so excited. I really thought they might have the upper hand this time. Instead of a big group of buffalo bulls, it was a lone bull. Come on, Nkuhumas. Nice thick bush. They were able to approach nicely. I really thought they might have a spot of luck. It wasn't amazing that the buffalo ran towards us, chasing the lion. Come on, ladies. So you'll notice Junior is quite often right at the back. He did actually attempt that when that buffalo came storming past us. He did actually attempt. He was one of the four leading lions trying to cut that buffalo off. But quite often he'll hang at the back because he's a male lion, and he'd rather let the ladies do the work and then claim the spoils when he can. But with big prey like buffalo, you'll quite often find that the females will quite often make the initial grab, but then the males will come and will be very instrumental in actually bringing down the animal. So, yes, you should look a little bit sheepish. And here comes Junior. He was the furthest after the buffalo, so he did actually make an effort there. But they are still on the move, which is always good. So that is since we've been watching them since yesterday morning, that is the 3rd failed buffalo hunt that we've watched. Howdy do, Leslie from California. After watching those lions chase a really big animal like a buffalo bull, Leslie would like to know, is it possible for a pride to kill a rhino? It is possible, very unlikely if it's an adult rhino, but I have actually seen a pride, well, I didn't see the actual takedown, but from the tracks and whatnot, we found a rhino that was killed by a pride of lions in the Kruger a few years ago, but that was a very big pride. That pride was over 30 individuals. And the rhino was a sub-adult, not an adult. But it is possible. I actually took some really great photographs, I do say so myself, a while ago, of a lioness actually jumping onto the back of a baby rhino before being chased away by the mother rhino. So it is possible, just very uncommon and unlikely. We're not going to be able to climb over that stuff. So we're going to have to go around this way. Hi, Susie! Susie's wondering, why didn't the buffalo smell the lions? Susie, there's actually very little wind at the moment, so that's probably why. And there's almost actually absolutely zero wind at the moment. And the buffalo would have been alerted to the lions by that oxpecker. We heard that shh, shh. And then he turned to face the lioness, who was probably no more than 4 meters from his nose, and he decided it was probably safer to charge her than it would have been to run away and offer his rump. And for this particular buffalo, that was definitely the right decision, as he managed to escape the rest of the pride. He ran in a direction where the other 3 lions had actually moved off to the other side, so I'm sure if he'd run into the other lions, it could have been a very different situation. And that's why a lot of animal hunts are not so successful. There's so many different variables, and it sort of all has to come together at the right time for a really successful hunt. Taking a break. Are the others lying down on the other side? I can't see just yet.
Yeah, they're right there.
Coming in. So they're jogging in is the lioness who put the most effort into that buffalo, and she's only actually catching up with the rest of the pride now. Lynette's making a comment, maybe they're not that hungry that they didn't commit. Well, Lynette, they look quite hungry to me. The reason they probably didn't commit there is because it didn't really go according to sort of plan, and the risk would have outweighed the reward. So the chance of them injuring themselves quite seriously in that situation is probably what stopped them committing. If the buffalo had turned and run away from them, I think it might have been a different story. Or if it ran into the other 3 lions that were trying to move around to the north. Oh, that's going to flick. Okay, Bill?
Yep.
Howdy, Gail from Rhode Island. Thanks for another question, Gail. Gail wants to know, we need to be more careful in the vehicle the more hungry the lions get. Fortunately not, Gail. They don't really see us as a food source, so we're okay. And they've actually made it all the way through to the Arathusa main entrance road. And it looks like they're going to have a little break here. I'm just going to move around. Or not. Some of them look like they might start carry on moving. Oh, sorry, didn't see you there, madam. Don't flick your tail at me, I apologize. Just trying to find a way back onto the road that doesn't involve running over a lioness. Oh, nearly lost a blanket to a thorn tree there. Oh, big bump coming through. see they're not stopping. They are heading out into this woodland again. Very interested. I've never ever seen the Nkuhumas in this area before, but they seem to know where they're going. This is very much traditionally sticks country. Oh, flop. Stations is Nkuhumas are now still mobile south over Safari Driveway. I'm coming up right next to you, Viam. You can hear her footsteps in the leaves. Nkuhuma Ngala mobile south across Safari Driveway, close to the junction parallel. Just getting everything ready for when we need it just now. Again, a football expert. I would like to know which coalition of male lions is expected to oust the Matimbas. Well, it's very difficult to say. The most likely candidates at the moment are the Birmingham boys. Those are 5 male lions that we see quite often, or hear about quite often to the north of us, and they have come into the Matimbas. They do spend quite a bit of time in the Matimba's home range. But the wonderful thing about having this open system with Kruger is that it could be new male lions that we've never even seen before that come and take over. Charlie would like to know that even when lions make a failed attempt, but a serious failed attempt at a hunt, do they have to rest? It all depends on how long it went on for, and also temperature, time of the day. But normally, if it has been a very, very serious charge where they've sort of expended a large amount of energy, they will want to rest afterwards. So guys, remember, apart from being on this game drive with me live, watching lions attempt to hunt buffalo and other things. We also are interactive, so you are able to ask us questions. And you can do that by emailing us questions at WildEarthTV, or use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. While we keep following these lions to sort of the southeast, away from the rising sun, we're going to hand you over to Scott, who's looking to the west at the setting sun.
Well, it's just such a beautiful evening here at the Treehouse Waterhole. Listen to all the birds calling. That sounds like a barred owlet. That you may hear faintly calling out. Earlier we had pearl-spotted owlets calling. You may even see a bat flying through the screen every now and then and get a brief glimpse of it. A small insect-eating bat. But what a wonderful evening it is here. Sadly, no major updates from Brian and myself. We actually left the listen to the pearl-spotted owlet. And here it goes again. It sounds like another one. Tiny little owls, smaller than a dove, and both the barred and the pearl-spotted are very similar in size and similar in looks, and both of them singing out this evening. Absolutely wonderful. Occasionally we do get lucky and get visuals of them, but it hasn't been for a while that I've managed to show you one. Maybe this evening we'll get lucky, but interestingly enough, they're actually daytime owls, so they will hunt during the day, and not all owls are specifically nocturnal or strictly nocturnal. I'm not sure if you saw the bat fluttering through the screen earlier. Anyway, Brent has got himself into a good position for you, and we'll go and look for something else. Enjoy. See you later.
Welcome back, guys. We're following the Nkuhuma Pride through this really dastardly stuff, and hopefully they're going to come through out into the open up ahead and it won't be so noisy. So just bear with me for a moment. We don't want to lose them while they're on the move, and so far they haven't seemed to have seen anything else since that buffalo ball. Kathy from the sunny and warm Florida would like to know, do lions only hunt at night, or would they ever hunt during the day? Kathy, they would most definitely hunt during the day. Like most animals, or most predators, they are opportunists. So if an opportunity arose for them to hunt during the day, they would. Most of the hunts we've seen them miss and fail at in the last 5 drives have actually been during the day. So we watched them attempt buffalo yesterday morning and yesterday afternoon, both during the day. Unfortunately, they're getting very, very close to our boundary at the moment. I'm really hoping they decide to turn around and head back northwest. But the one lioness has now come out onto our boundary just beyond here. You can see there that sort of white patch in front of us there. That is the boundary road. Are you going the wrong way? As long as she decides to come back to the right, So, Judy, who's logged in recently, I'll give a quick update for everyone who might be wondering exactly what's going on. Judy was wondering, when did the Nkuhumas make their last kill? As I can tell, it's probably 3 nights ago. And it was something small because it didn't fool them at all. And now we've been following them, we've watched them miss buffalo 3 times now and stalk 2 other things we couldn't see what they were stalking. So law of odds is that they're gonna catch something sometime, and that's why we're so keen to stick with them. Sorry guys, the game drives are just trying to get hold of me. Liam. How's it, buddy? Sorry, I was just talking. Yeah, I'm still with them. They've just come out onto Triple M south of the Arethusa sign and our mobile south. Watch out there, Liam. You good?
Yeah.
No, don't go that way, lions. One of them are turning off down this road, and that is out of our property. The others are staying on the road. But it looks in general that they are disappearing from us. Liam. Some of the pride have now cut east. I'm not sure the name of the road into Hoffman's. The first left after you head south from Safari Driveway on Triple M. Look at those ears, how alert they are. They might take a little rest. Or not. So a follow-up to Judy's original question is that will the lions hunt through the night? Judy, they can, but normally with lions there'll be bouts of activity followed by bouts of rest. So they will hunt now. This is probably for quite a while, over the next sort of hour or so, and they'll probably sleep for a few hours before starting to hunt again. and unfortunately they are departing us. Hopefully they'll come back north into Djuma tomorrow, judging from the direction they're going. That old junior taking up the rear. No. One of the sub-adults coming up. So they're heading into the property to the east of us, called the Hoffmans, to the east of Arethusa. I can still hear old Junior traipsing along behind us somewhere. Disappearing around the corner. I'm going to try and see. Let me just move back a little bit. Okay. And there's the last crossing the boundary. So there we go, the last of them leaving us. I think we might get a last final view as a junior disappears down the road. Listening to where everyone else went, he got quite far left behind this time. Julia from Houston, Texas. Julia would like to know whether lions use termite mounds as vantage points like leopards. They do really, really often. We've watched this pride in particular use, I think in one drive we watched them use about 7 different termite mounds as vantage points. So they do, and even some of the prey species will use termite mounds as vantage points to look out for things like lions and leopards. And they're all gone. So we wish the Nkuhumas well on their endeavors further. Hopefully, whatever they do during the night, they come back to Djuma and come catch something on Djuma. It would be really great if we could catch up with them again in the morning to just keep the story going. I mean, we've been following them for how many drives now? 5. I think between Scott and myself might be 5 or 6 drives that we've been with the Nkuhumas. So it's been really great spending that amount of time with them and watching them go from fat to skinny, and watching them actually attempt quite a lot of hunts. And you can understand now why it is quite difficult for a lion to catch something. There's so many different variables. The buffalo just needs to run 5 meters further the wrong way, and it sort of makes it very difficult for them to catch. So we're going to start maneuvering back towards the Djuma boundary now, and hopefully we bump something in the last couple of minutes as we move. So we're going to cross across to Scotty for a quick update while we start maneuvering down this big main road and have some fun with Scott, and we will see you later.
Welcome back, everyone, and always sad to see the Nkuhuma pride heading off into the unknown without us, but like Brent says, we have spent a lot of time with them over this few days. Hasn't it been great? We are both, Brent and myself, getting very excited for the day that one of us get to share with you them hunting successfully, as there's been a lot of unsuccessful hunting over there. Basically the whole time we've been here we haven't seen them catch anything. Anyway, that will change, and it'll be good to have you all with us when it does. This area that we're driving through now could hopefully provide us with a bush baby, a really cute nocturnal primate. And I've seen a number of them in this area in the past, so that's what I'm hoping to see amongst any other interesting nocturnal animals that occur out here. Porcupine would be great, or an aardvark, or even a pangolin. It's a crisp, cold evening, and to be honest, quite happy that we are slowly making our way back to camp now, because it starts getting very, very cold once the sun has disappeared. I'm looking forward to the thoughts of sitting around the campfire this evening and sharing some stories. Alex Foss and Peter Braat have arrived today, so a few newcomers. Andrew's back from leave tomorrow, the other cameraman. And Jamie, oh, hold on, we're in luck. Please don't fly away. By fly away, I mean jump away. We could get lucky. Awesome. We've got lucky. It's a little bush baby. And this is what I was hoping and showing you. It's a nocturnal primate, so I'm just going to try and shine the periphery of the torch on it. And look at that very long tail that helps it balance as it springs through the air. They can jump huge, huge distances. And look at those massive eyes. I think it's going to surprise us all at how far it leaps. Watch here. Boink! That was incredible. That must have been at least 2 meters from a standstill. Up, so, whoa, there it goes again. Off it goes. Well done, Brian. Well, what an absolute bonus that was to end off the drive. It's been another action-packed afternoon here in the Sabi Sands, and it's been so great sharing the afternoon with you, all of you. But sadly it is drawing to a close, and we are going to say goodbye and say our thank yous to Brian on camera, to Nikki who directed the show, and to Tara who was lending her a hand, and of course to all of you, the viewers, for joining in. We're going to send you across to Brent so that he can say goodbye, and look forward to the AM drive with you in the morning.
Welcome back, folks. We're on the boundary. Those lines are somewhere to the south of us here where my spotlight's shining, and I'm hoping that they come through and come back and join us on Djuma tomorrow morning. We're just going to get off this main road quickly. Lots of dust, lots of vehicles up and down. So what an exciting day it's been, both the sunrise and sunset safari. We were with the Nkuhuma Pride. This morning they weren't very active, but you had such an amazing sighting with Scott at the hyena den. This evening, that buffalo actually chased the lions right past us, right next to us. How unbelievable was that? A really, really special sighting. Unfortunately for the Nkuhumas, they weren't lucky enough to grab that buffalo, but very, very exciting and great to actually be able to see a little bit more this time compared to the last times we've seen them attempt buffalo hunts. But thanks again very much for everyone who joined us, to all our old viewers. Always great having you on the back of the Game Drive vehicle. To the new viewers, welcome, and please join us again tomorrow for the Sunrise Safari. So from the Wildebeest, aka VM, and myself, have a wonderful morning or evening wherever you are in the world, and we'll see you for the Sunrise Safari.